Hi, I'm Bernie Golias, Chief Car Idiot, and welcome to Car Idiots Forever. We're at Westlake, Ohio at the International Thunderbird Club convention, and with me is Don Morton. Don, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
You have a 1955 Thunderbird, but it's modified, which is great because it has a lot of history to that modification.
Yes, indeed, since it was built, as you see it, in 1955 by a local Detroit custom house called Clark Kaiser. And it was built by a good friend of mine, and I did the design work on it in 1955. When the car was 2 weeks old, it went to the custom shop.
What other kind of history did you have? It's a long time to have a car. Some other things of interest took place in your life
Well,
with it, didn't it?
I helped build Detroit Dragway, and so I raced it at the 59 Nationals in Detroit, and I raced it in B-modified sports, which it didn't stand a chance of winning up against a bunch of Corvettes, but I did have the satisfaction of beating the first pairing was between a young man named Pete Seaton. Peter's dad was a vice president of GM, and he had the latest and bestest Corvette you could buy, and he missed the 2-3 shift, and I beat him.
Right.
And I never let him forget that.
You're from Michigan, and a lot of Ford history there. Do you have any? Do you have any recollections of some of the famous people you may have
Well,
met?
how about when I met Henry Ford in person when I was 7 years old? My dad came to pick me up. We're walking down West Grand Boulevard towards Woodward, and as we passed the GM building, of all things, here comes a gentleman who, to me, I would have just thought he was a local bum. He had a gray gabardine top coat on, which everybody wore in those days, and a hat that everybody wore with the two, I don't know what they called them, but it had the sweat band. The brim was all sweaty from constant usage. Turned out to be Henry Ford himself. And my father knew him from business. So as Henry came out, we almost ran into him. So my dad and him stopped, and my dad greeted him, "Hey, Henry, it's good to see you." And he knew my dad's name, and they talked a while. And then my dad realized this kid of mine is a car nut way back then, and so he introduced me.
Way to go. And
Henry patted me on the head, I don't remember, but he maybe shook my hand, and he said, "Oh God, this little shit," But anyway, we talked, and after we talked very briefly, and I was puzzled by what he was doing in the General Motors building. So I asked him that, and he looked at me kind of, well, kid's pretty observant, and he said, "Well, I had a meeting down here." So so as we parted company, he was going west, and we were going east. I turned to my dad and I said, "Was that the Henry Ford?" Because I couldn't believe it. And my dad said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Well, he didn't look like a big shot." And that was my impression. He looked like a normal, didn't look like a bum, because his wife had made him, he had a shirt and tie on, but the tie was askew, and the collar was probably a little wrinkled. And the top coat was definitely a little wrinkled, and the hat with the sweatband on. I couldn't believe it. I thought my opinion of a guy that owned a Ford Motor Company would have been some, manicured nails. I couldn't believe that was a real Henry Ford.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You've been a car idiot for many years.
Boy, all my life. Since
Well,
I was 10 years old.
Car idiot forever, then.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means you can check it out at caridiotsforever.com, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And all those people can too because they're on television. Great, come on in, caridiotsforever.com. Welcome. Anyway, this is Don, and he has a story because you don't always hear the fact that people actually met Henry Ford.
Well,
and you know what? He's got a wonderful car here. We're going to show you a little bit more about it. We're going to get you at and more details about it. Thank you so much, Don. You can check it out at caridiotsforever.com. Face us on, friend us, right?
Yeah.
Face us, but friend us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Bernie Golias, Chief Car Idiot, and we'll see you There.